For more on what happened this week at the Capitol, I caught up with eCapitol reporter Shawn Ashley. Shawn, this week the House approved a cost of living fund for state pensioners. Tell us about that.
Yes, as you may remember, a few years ago, the legislature said that there cannot be cost of living allowances approved unless there was funding for those changes. Of course, the legislature hasn't set aside any money to do that, and nor have they created a mechanism to do that. That's what they hope to do with this bill. It would create a fund where money could be put to fund cost of living adjustments in the future. The opponents of the bill pointed out, however, that the fund is not funded. There's no money going into it. So it could be some time before retirees see a pension adjustment.
There was also a vote on a bill that would put the inspection of the state's veterans centers under the Department of Health.
Yes, this has been a discussion that's been going on all legislative session. In fact, goes back to the summer, as well as some stories that OETA did on the issue. The veterans centers have not been inspected by the Department of Health for a number of years, like other nursing homes. This bill would put them back under the auspice of the Department of Health. An amendment was made to the bill which required that those inspections take place at least annually, and that the health department provide an at least monthly unannounced visit to those facilities to see how things are going.
The House approved a 9/11 veteran aid measure as well. What's that all about?
That's exactly right. As you're well aware, we have a number of people returning from Iraq, Afghanistan, and other theaters throughout the world who are coming back disabled and in need of some form of assistance. This bill would provide tuition-free education for those who are 100% disabled, as well as for their immediate family members.
Workers' comp, big ticket item. It's still out there. What's the latest?
Yeah. It's a big ticket item, and we still don't know for sure when it's going to move. The bill was scheduled to be heard this past week by the House Judiciary Committee, but it was laid over, put off what we thought would be until this next week. A large number of amendments have been filed on this bill, and what we began hearing as recently as Thursday was that the bill may be put off for another week. We'll just have to wait and see.
Are there constitutional issues involved?
Yes. House Minority Leader Scott Inman mentioned Thursday that he believes there are some constitutional issues because this bill would take those cases that are in the pipeline when the current workers' compensation court is eliminated and eventually move those to district court, which seems to violate the concept of both state law and of a previous state Supreme Court opinion that says those cases need to be handled by an independent judiciary.
We see a lot of bills that are passing through the legislature right now that have no funding attached to them. Is that unusual?
It's not unusual, but it seems like we are seeing more of them. We talked about the fund for the COLAs. We talked about the Department of Health inspections of veterans centers, which at the same time, the veterans centers are not going to have to pay a fee that normally funds nursing home inspections. What will have to happen is that the budget committees will have to find a way to fund those services in some other way. At this point, though, we've heard no real talk about what's happening with the budget.
What's coming up next week?
We'll continue a couple of more weeks of work in committees, and then we move back to the floor as the House hears Senate bills and the Senate hears House bills.
And when do you expect budget talks to heat up?
I wish I could answer that question. I know for a fact that they are talking back and forth, and if you talk to the various parties involved in the discussions, each will tell you that they have a budget. They just need the other side to agree to it.
Is it likely that it will all come down to the last few days as it usually does?
I'm not sure it'll be the last few days. I think, first of all, rather than meeting until May 31st, the constitutional end of session this year, we will probably see the legislature get out around May 24th, a week early. And I really think towards the end of April, we will see a budget agreement announced.
We'll be looking for that and more from the Capitol. Shawn Ashley of eCapitol, thanks for joining us.
You're very welcome.